Welcome to Iris Gaming's Behind the Screen. I'm your DM, Jill Poisson. Today we're going to be talking about how not to ruin your campaign with the deck of many things. So as I said at the top, I'm going to talk about the deck of many things. I've noticed in a lot of Dungeons & Dragons groups, whether it's on Facebook or Reddit or some random forum, or even people talking about it on Twitter, although a little less on Twitter because different way of communicating. Anyway, people are asking what to do. They gave their players a deck of many things, and it's completely destroyed their campaign for one reason or another. So I want to give advice on this, and it's going to start off really simple. So if you don't want to watch a long video, here's your advice. Don't give them the deck of many things. Easy. Now, I know why it's starting to become popular. One, Dungeons & Dragons has blown up in popularity the last couple of years, and there's a lot of new DMs. So they see this really interesting high-end magic item that can give their players wish, potentially. And they've probably watched Critical Role and saw Grog, who was played by Travis Willingham, so beautifully stupid, play with the deck of many things. And have almost always positive outcomes for Grog and the party. Well, that's not how the deck of things usually works. Travis got really lucky until pretty much that last pull. Most of the time, the deck of many things just destroys a campaign because it can be anything. You can give a player a bunch of wishes, and then that adds a whole interesting element to everything. You can have your players have to fight an avatar of death. You can have your players automatically get another character because they've gotten a knight. And there's all kinds of other hijinks. Most of the cards are very bad for your party, and they can be campaign ending. So don't give your players the deck of many things. If you have a campaign that you have a conclusion to, if it's sandbox, do it. Who cares? It can be anything. Now, I will say in my 20 years of DMing, up until recently, I never, ever, ever gave my players the deck of many things. There was no reason to. It never would come up in my campaign. It would not help any objective. It's nothing but chaos. I have played in a few campaigns long, long ago when I was a teenager where the DM was like, here's the deck of many things, and I never drew a card because I wasn't stupid. I recently decided for Dangerous Don Duffield's Tall Tales of Daring Do, within the magic vault, which nothing can get out unless Dangerous Don wants, to put 3 decks of many things, 2 incomplete and 1 complete, because I wanted to see what my players would do. And of course, I described that they walked by a little deck on one of the shelves and they couldn't help themselves but pull it. But because I was just doing it as a test, I had never DM'd when these things happen. I decided to keep all the magic contained within Dangerous Don Duffield's magical vault of artifacts. And what happened was pure chaos. We had one player who pulled really lucky. He went up 4 levels in one shot, and then he got 2 wishes. I actually let him keep those wishes and the levels because it was funny, and it's just an alpha test. Another player decided to pull a card. He got cursed. Then he also got some other additional the penalties he got. He had an NPC hates him and wants to kill him. And then also a demon is out to get him, which is real bad for a warlock. Then he continued to pull cards because he wanted to try to get the card that would remove his curse. Of course, other players started pulling cards. There was one, she was smart, and she was like, I'm having nothing to do with this. One of the other players, he pulled a card, got the Avatar of Death, and the fight started. And the individual who was trying to get the anti-curse card, well, he got that card and then ended up having to use that to kill the Avatar of Death. So he kept his curse. They also got an NPC character to pull a card, which destroyed all his possessions in their home, so they actually ended up having to give him stuff. And that was the end of the chaos. They decided not to touch it anymore. And the only reason why that went mostly okay was, one, I kept it contained. I could have had the levels and even the wishes stay within the vault. I decided not to because I thought it was interesting and my players are mature enough to handle it. And actually, both those wishes were pretty interesting. One of them he kind of boned himself on because when you have a wish, make sure the wording is really great. Otherwise, your DM's going to find, particularly if you're a DM like me, it's going to find some loophole to not quite give you what you want. The second, which he actually just recently used, and it had a huge ramification changes on the campaign world. But I'm okay with that because once again, this is just an alpha test. It doesn't matter. So that's the only reason why I decided to do it. I'd heard so many people talk about what it was going to be like, and I wanted to see what it was. And ultimately, don't do it. It's not worth it. No deck of many things. It is literally, I feel like, a gag item. It's almost like this doesn't exist in newer versions of Dungeons & Dragons, but the girdle that changes your sex. It was a kind of awful joke. And that's all it was. The deck of many things is just an excuse to use tarot cards or playing cards to cause chaos in your campaign. So if you're running a campaign that has an end, don't do it. If you're running a campaign that's a sandbox, you better be experienced and your players should be mature, because they might not like the consequences. You don't want some player walking out of your game because they got killed by the avatar death because they pulled it out of the deck of many things. So that's it for today's advice. Once again, just don't do it. If you liked our content, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and we also have a Patreon where you can learn about our world now Moria. You can learn about Dangerous Don Duffield's Tall Tales of Daring do some alpha content, which I assure you has no deck of many things, and you can also like us on Facebook. Thanks.